at Trendy Tree, and today I'm going to show you how to make this lantern, Halloween lantern decoration. And this is all made from scraps except for the bird nest with the little skulls at the top and the mummy hands. I love the mummy hands around the candle. And these candles are a new item that we have at Trendy Tree along with the lanterns, but the candles are remote control. So you can just turn them on, set them up anywhere you want, and turn them on, and you can adjust the flame. You can also set them on timers, but they're just really great. I really like those, and they're safe. They're made out of wax. Of course, they're battery operated or battery powered, but they're safe, and the flickering flame looks so real. All the bows, or the bow that we used on this and the mesh was all from scrap, so everything was just salvage materials except for the nest and the hands. Okay? Let's get started. Today I'm going to take this patriotic swag off my lantern and create something for Halloween. Please excuse the noise in the background. I moved my video equipment to the pool house because it's so hot down in the shop. And you may hear the air conditioner, but anyway, I wanted to go ahead and change out this topper and do something for Halloween. The first thing I want to do is take my old topper off, and if you saw the video where we made the patriotic topper, if you'll remember, excuse me, I tied the decoration on with a ribbon, and this really makes it easy to remove. So we'll take that off and lay it aside. I might pull some of those ribbons out and use, but we'll just lay that aside for right now. Now I have a couple of things that I wanted to put on the inside of my lantern, and I just will show you how they look. We have these cute mummy hands, and I thought I might position that. This particular candle may be too big, but I thought we might position that hand on the candle. Of course, this part you can do, afterwards, after you get everything, put your decoration on top, but I thought that would be cute. See? And this candle, this is a new candle that we have at Trendy Tree, and it's remote control. That's not my remote, that's my camera remote. But you can turn the light on and off with the remote control, and you can adjust the flame to flicker or continuous and so forth. You can also set this on a timer. So this is great. And these lanterns also came from Trendy Tree. We have all sorts of lanterns for this year and have more that will even be listing. But these are great. This one comes in a set of 2, and this is the largest, but I'm just going to decorate the largest one for today. Now the other thing that I thought I might use for the inside of my candle holder, inside of my lantern, is this bird nest. It's made out of twig, and it has these little skulls and funny looking little bird eggs. The neat thing about making a topper for your lantern is you can use up your scraps of material. We're going to use several different pieces of things. These are just scraps that are left over from other projects, but they work great for this particular project. The great thing about making a lantern topper is many times you can just use up your scraps from previous projects. Ribbon, mesh, paper, roping, just pick out an assortment of things that sort of look Halloween, and that's what we're going to do. And the first thing we're going to do is, generally I would use something like a spray as a base to hold my bow, but I don't have a spray with me today, but I do have this natural wired jute roping. So I'm going to just fashion that into a piece, and I will use that for my base. As you can tell, this roping has been used several times on other projects, but I'm just going to take a couple of pieces and smooth it out. I'm going to fold it. Kind of put some pieces together, maybe 3 pieces. well, might as well use it all. But I'm just going to fold it together, and then I'm just going to wrap one of the loose ends around that center. Now those ends are uneven and rough right now, but we'll smooth those out when we get closer. But this will give us a base to attach our bow to. And probably what we'll do is sort of anchor the bow about a quarter, or divide your piece up into thirds and anchor the bow along that first third, and then let the rest of it hang down. I have some black and white paper mesh left over, and I have this is some frayed edge jute. And if I use the mummy hands or the bird nest, the naturals will really look good with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut some 10-inch pieces of both these products and make maybe some ruffles or curls to go on the roping. I also found this natural brown paper mesh, so I'm going to make a couple of ruffles or curls out of it too. We'll start with a few pieces, and then we'll just have to decide if we need to add more or not. You will need some chenille stems, and you'll want to cut those in half. Of course, I always say don't cut your wire or chenille stems with your scissors. Use your wire cutters, but I don't have all my supplies with me today, so it's one of those situations where you do as I say, not as I do. But we're going to make a few picks out of these pieces to attach to our base, our rope base. A frayed edge mesh. So I'm just going to lay it down and pinch it up through the center. Yeah, I like that better than a curl for this particular mesh. And then you have your frayed edges to the outside. Take your chenille stem, just lay it down over the top of your ruffle. Give it a couple of twists from the bottom, and you've made a little pick that we're going to use to attach to our roping base. So I'm going to make a few of these, and then we'll start attaching them to our rope base. Of course, if you had chenille stems that exactly match your mesh, that's a plus. All I have with me is white, but that's okay. We're going to take the paper mesh. Now it ravels. Any kind of open weave product like this, whether it be a poly burlap, poly jute, or paper, it's going to ravel. Now we have been spraying the cut edges or all edges with an Elmer's Craft Bond spray adhesive, and that does help with the raveling. I'm just going to make ruffles out of this also. Just gather it up to the center. You have your uncut or your selvage edge to the outside. Of course, that will still ravel some. But we're going to make a few ruffles out of this black and white. Okay, so that gives us 3 black and white picks, and I cut 2 pieces of this natural paper mesh in the natural color. I may have too many made. We may not need them all. Okay, so now we're going to take our roping base and just take one of the ruffles, and we're going to just lay that ruffle down on top of the roping. You can go all the way around it or just get it in there and attach it somewhere. I'm going to twist it from the bottom. We'll fix our chenille ends in a little while. Cover those up good. I'm going to go ahead and tie a ribbon around my base roping that I'm going to use to tie to the top of my lantern. That way I'll kind of keep my center point where I know it needs to be. And I'm just going to use a ribbon. I'm just going to tie a knot around it. And then when I'm finished, I'll use that ribbon to tie around my lantern, and that will make it easy to attach. I'm just going to continue to work down the longer end of the roping and just add a few more pieces of the ruffles. Now there's our base so far. I used three ruffles on the short end, and the rest of them went on the longer end. Of course, I still have my ribbon where I can tie it onto my lantern. Now next, I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to try to cover up those chenille stems as best I can. Of course, you can always snip them off shorter. And if you had used natural color chenille stems, this would be a lot better, of course. But, you know, sometimes you have to make do with what you have. The great thing about this project is I'm not opening up any new any new products other than the mummy hands or the bird nest. The rest of it is all scraps from previous projects. And if you're like me, I bet you can go to your craft table and find plenty of pieces of ribbon that are too short to make a bow with, or mesh that's, you know, not enough to make another project. It's perfect for something like this. I'm going to go ahead and secure the bow, secure the swag to the lantern, and I'm just going to use my ribbon. Of course, this will all depend on how your lantern is made, you know, the best place to attach it and that sort of thing. This one is just perfect for tying something around the top. I'm just going to tie that in a knot. If I'd had a longer ribbon, I could have tied it in a bow, but for today, it's tied in a knot. Okay? Now, the next thing we're going to do is make what we call a funky bow or a whimsical bow. This technique I saw from Julie at Southern Charm Wreaths. And if you will, I mean, we have a link. I'll give you the link to her ebook. She does a terrific job in teaching you how to make wreaths. And there's a link where you can buy her ebook and learn how to do all sorts of basic wreath making. And she showed us how to do this ribbon where you use up your scrap pieces. So I just gone to the shop and gathered up odds and ends of some scrap ribbon that I have. And also I found this gray and white striped ribbon. I don't have a lot of it, but I have an old bow that I used for something else. So what I'm going to do is undo that bow. I'm going to take this ribbon, I'm going to run to the house and press this, and then we'll use this in our bow also. Not all of your ribbons would press out this nicely, but this is a great ribbon. It has nice texture. I love the ladder stripes, and it comes in all different colors. And we also have a 1.5 inch size. All the ribbons came from Trendy. These are just, like I say, they're pieces that are left over from previous projects. So to make our funky bow, the first thing we're going to do is cut strips of ribbon 24 to 30 inches in length. I'm just going to cut my ribbon at an angle. Sometimes I chevron the ends and sometimes not. So some of my pieces are going to be shorter than others. I have probably used this ribbon 3 or 4 times. Different bows on the back porch and for just lots of uses. So it's done well. I may not use all of that. I'm going to take some of the other that's 1.5 inches, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to cut some pieces that are anywhere from 24 to 30 inches. And I may make more than one bow. It just depends. We'll just get started and then we'll decide. You will need a chenille stem, and this time you don't want to cut it or anything. You'll need the whole stem. And we're going to take one of the pieces of ribbon and we're going to make a loop. Now your loops will need to be 5.5 to 6 inches in length. It doesn't matter about the tails, whether they're all the same length or not. This one is going to have a longer tail to the back and a shorter to the front. So on my next ribbon, I'm going to make the loop the same size, but I'm going to put a longer tail to the front and a shorter one to the back. And I'm just going to alternate my ribbons, but you do want to keep your loops all the same size. And if it's easier for you to make your tails all the same length, that's fine too. Plus, you can always trim these, when you're done. Now I've got 5 loops. I'm going to stop there for this bow. I'm going to take the chenille stem and go around sort of the neck of the bow where I've got it pinched together and bring that chenille stem to the back. I'm going to twist it a couple times as tight as I can and then take that chenille stem and spread that out. Now we've got 5 loops to the top. All of our tails are to the bottom. So now I'm going to start bringing up. I need to bring some tails to the back, so for my ribbon is face up, so I'm going to bring up a tail and then have the other tail to the front. I'm going to do that with every one of the ribbons. I'll have a tail to the front and keep my hand, bring a tail to the back, tail to the front, tail to the back. So when you finish, you should have 5 tails to the front and 5 tails to the back. So you just count them. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So I've got 5 in the back and 5 in the front. I've still got my finger under that. So now I'm going to take that chenille stem and I'm going to put it under those tails. And I'm going to twist it tight as I can. Give it a couple of turns. So now I have my bow made. I have my chenille stem to attach my bow. So now I'm just going to pull my loops up, straighten those a little bit, and I should have all tails facing right side up. It's a great bow. It's a great package bow too. Even if you're making it all out of the same fabric, same ribbon. But it's really a great way to use up your ribbon strip. So now we have our bow ready to attach, and I'm just going to attach it to my base roping right at the top. So I've attached my bow, and since I've still got some ribbon pieces cut, I'm going to go ahead and make another one and just do 2 bows. So now we have 2 bows together, which looks like one big bow. Now, if you want to at this point, you can trim your ribbons, you know, any length that you want. And we're going to take this jute roping that we made our base out of, and like this end, this little wire end, we're going to curl it around something. I'm just going to take this end of my scissors and just wrap that end around that and pull it out, and that'll leave a little bit of a curl. I have a wire sticking out, so I'm just going to cut that off. Okay. Same way with this other end, you can shape those loops. That roping is wired, so you can just, you know, wrap it around your finger and shape it a little bit, and just let it hang down however you want to finish that off. Okay? I love the mommy hands around the candle. You can see that pretty good. And I love the remote for the candle. This is one of my favorite things in the shop. And again, you could use this little bird nest in there, or if you wanted to, you could also position the bird nest up on top. I think that's a good idea. Let's do that. You can just run some floral wire through the bottom of the nest. Now I use the chenille stem just because I don't have all my supplies here, but floral wire would be better. And then use the, just twist it and then attach it to the top of your swag. There's our nest after we attached it, and instead of wiring it to the roping swag that I started out with, I wired it directly to the top of my lantern. Of course, it just depends on how your lantern is made. But since I've added the bird nest, I think I'm going to add a couple more of the burlap curls, burlap ruffles on this side to just balance it out a little more. Last step is just clip your strings, fluff your ribbons, and you're ready to go. Well, that's our tutorial. We hope you enjoyed it, and like I say, the best thing about a project like this is using up some of those scraps. There's always short ends left over after a project, and making this funky bow and ribbon ruffles from the mesh and paper scraps is a great way to use those products up. All the supplies came from Trendy, and we hope that you'll visit us there. We sell all sorts of wreath making supplies, mesh, ribbons, wreath forms, and so forth. We hope you'll share our videos with your friends.